Welcome to Well-Rounded. I'm your host, Tiffany Parker. What is up, party people? I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm actually having a very fabulous day. I got my hair done, so if you're watching on the YouTube, it looks really good. You kind of can't tell because of the headphones, but it looks really good and it smells really good. And it looks really good because I didn't do it. I got my hair done, just a little trimmy trim, and I just feel like a new woman and it just feels good. I also got a pedicure this week and my eyebrows done. So, things are looking up. Things are looking up. On a negative note though, traffic is nuts because everybody's back in school. And I know that doesn't just apply to Utah because Utah traffic is kind of always garbage. But I know everywhere is kind of just a little bit crowded because people are all over the place in school. So, let's hope that dies down because man, going to Walmart today was infuriating. Anyways, just gonna be me today, this week, but I have some really fun guests coming up. They're gonna be in person, which is very exciting and saves me a lot more time in editing. So, but I just wanna say that I am so grateful to everyone who listens, to everyone who has left a rating or a review, or to everyone who likes my Instagram posts. I'm really trying hard to do content and try and, make things fun and make things interesting and try to get people to listen and things like that. So thank you to those of you who consistently like my posts, who consistently comment on them, who listen to the podcast, and thank you to the guests I've had on the podcast too. I hope that they've had fun, and because this is a lot of fun for me. Genuinely, I love doing this. It's something I look forward to every week. I wish I could just do this as my full-time job instead of have other jobs. But yeah, thank you so much for the support. It's a lot of fun, and I am just kind of learning as I go, as I'm sure you've noticed, because I kind of know some things, but this is not specifically what I'm trained on, and I'm just trying to, always trying to pivot, always trying to improve. I'm trying to pull inspiration from people who have big followings and things like that. So thank you for your patience and for your support throughout this kind of learning process and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Because what worked back in 2020 when a lot of people started podcasts during COVID doesn't necessarily work now. Technology's changing all the time and the algorithms are changing and everything's just changing all the time, and it's just really hard to keep up. So your girl's trying her best. So thank you so much for everyone who is supportive. You know who you are. So today I had to talk about this because, and it's probably going to be the main subject, but I had to talk about the movie It Ends With Us. So those who don't know, that is a book by Colleen Hoover, and trigger warning for this episode, because we're going to talk about the subject matter of the book, which is domestic abuse. So if that's triggering, please, I'll see you next week when we have a very special guest. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about it because I have much to say, and I read the book before I saw the movie like a good person. And it was really good. And I also have to say that I have not been to the movies in a very long time. So I got a girlfriend to go with me, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you, Morgan. I had so much fun. I've been craving girls' nights lately, just to, just watch movies and talk girl talk. I don't have roommates, and so I'm just over here talking to myself like a weirdo. So I just have been really craving girls' nights, and I want to hang out with my girlfriends, and and do girly things and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun. So going to the movies was a lot of fun. Haven't done that in a long time. And I'm someone who loves to go to the movies. I love going to the movies. I think it's so much fun. That popcorn is unparalleled. My personal popcorn combo is popcorn, buttered halfway through, of course. And then you got to go to the butter station and put more butter on, because let's be honest, we're all here for the movie theater butter. I don't think the popcorn is actually that special. I think it's the butter and maybe whatever oil they like cook the kernels in or whatever. But, the butter, next level. Because I've tried melting just regular butter that you can buy from the store and putting them on. Not the same. Not the same. So yeah, put the butter on, and then I love a Diet Coke or a Dr. Pepper. Either way, Dr. Pepper is usually my choice, but Dr. Pepper's sweeter, and so sometimes I don't want that much sweetness, especially because I love eating plain M&Ms with popcorn. So I like to alternate with plain M&Ms and popcorn. I know a lot of people are into the Milk Dud thing, where you like eat the Milk Duds and the popcorn together. That sounds really delicious, but Milk Duds do hurt my jaw and my teeth. And that's just not a battle I want to fight when I'm trying to relax and watch a movie. So yeah, that's my combo: a Diet Coke, popcorn, lots of butter, and plain M&Ms. Or if I'm feeling extra nostalgic, then those cookie dough bites are actually really good. They're really good. Or Bunch of Crunch, which, you know, popcorn's kind of crunchy, so I haven't really wanted Bunch of Crunch very much, but man, those little cookie dough bites, especially when they're cold, they hit the spot, let me tell you. Anyways, so the movie, super fun, super interesting. So first, what I appreciated about the book, and this was kind of Colleen Hoover's whole point, is she wanted to kind of explain the realities of this domestic abuse cycle, and how it's not always just leave. You know, it's not always as simple as like, oh, why don't you just leave? You know, and I think that's something a lot of people, myself included, feel and think about when they hear those kinds of situations. And I never understood why it wasn't easy to leave. And so what I really appreciated about this book, first of all, it's really interesting. It was well written too, so it kept me captivated. And then of course there's romance. Duh, love some romance. In fact, I can't read a book if it doesn't have romance anymore. I'm like, oh, where's the love? So really good there. And it kind of explained just how complicated it is. And I think she did it in a really, really tactful way, while also being honest, you know? So she meets this guy, they get married, and then it turns out he's kind of abusive, and then we kind of learn later, not kind of abusive, he is abusive, and you know, he does all the typical things that you kind of hear about, like the manipulation, the apologizing, the love bombing, all of these things that we're kind of talking about now in society, and promises never to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And then we find out later that when he was very, very little, went through something really traumatic, and it kind of just changes a person, you know? And then, so yeah, the book was really interesting, and it actually illustrated really well why you can't just leave. It's not always that simple, you know, and it rarely is that simple. And so I just really appreciated that, because I've always wanted to understand, genuinely curious, not in like a judgy way or anything like that, of course not, but I've always wanted to understand why that was hard, because I just didn't get it, and that book really illustrated that in a way that it was a little uncomfortable, but tactfully done, you know what I mean? So I just really think that that's really impressive. I think that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard balance to make. And so I just think that Colleen Hoover did a really, really good job with it. Now on to the movie. So movie followed the book a lot. And I think Colleen Hoover was involved in the filmmaking of it. So that helps. And I don't know why that isn't the case with every single book to movie adaptation. I don't understand why the author is not always directly involved, okay? If J.K. Rowling was involved with the Harry Potter movies, 3 through 7 would not be so upsetting, okay? because 1 and 2 are really good. The problem with Harry Potter is there were 3 different directors throughout the 8 movie history of it. So that's a problem. Then of course Dumbledore had to go and die, the OG Dumbledore, because I do not like the new one. New, right? He's been around for a while, but I don't know why. And then I remember hearing one movie that was a book, and they like wouldn't allow the author to be a part of the production process. And that was so confusing to me. Yeah, because us book nerds, we are very, very passionate about following things accurately. And if you gotta cut things out, which you always have to, if you gotta cut things out, cutting out the right things, you know, because there are some things that can be cut, and then there are other things just really shouldn't be cut, you know what I mean? And so I love this movie. I thought they did a really good job, again, of kind of doing what the point of the book was too, where they kind of illustrated like, oh my gosh, this is horrible, we don't condone this behavior, but here's what happened, right? To him, to make him this way. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's devastating. However, it ends with us, right? So I think the movie did exactly what the book did, in that regard of illustrating it's not that easy. You know, she still loves him. But she has to do what's best for her. She has to do what's best for her child. All of this stuff. So very, very well done. I loved it. Both men were so attractive, so good. The guy that plays Ryle, really good looking. So spoiler alert, there's a shirtless scene, and I gasped in the movie theater so loudly that my friend I was with, she was like, oh my gosh. And then the girl next to me, who I did not know and did not talk to until that moment, I was like, oh. And they all were just laughing at me. I was like, I was not prepared for that. Because in the trailers, I didn't think he was that good looking. But then you kind of see his face a little bit better, because his, you know, trailers kind of cut from scene to scene. And he was so good looking. And his smile is really good. When he's not smiling, it's like, you know, but man, whew, that smile was good. And then his body was great. And then Blake Lively, I'm not a Blake Lively fan. She did a really good job though. Yeah, and I was talking with another book nerd friend about this, and she's like, I think everyone kind of looks a little bit old. Once I saw the movie, I actually didn't think that at all. I was like, this actually feels like an appropriate age, you know, even though like all of these actors I think are in their 40s or whatever, and I think the characters are in their late 20s, early 30s or something. Never throughout the movie was I like, oh, they just look so much older than I pictured, because they don't look older. They are older, but they don't look it to me, you know. And so anyways, Blake Lively did a really good job, and I thought she played this character very well, which again, it's a very important character, and it's a very hard, she's what I call like a complex character, you know, where it's not just one emotion the whole time, and it's not just one thing, and it's not just one behavior. So I thought she did a great job. I haven't seen her really in anything else, frankly, but I always thought she was kind of just a pretty girl that just, you know, made it far, mostly because of her looks, but her acting job was really, really good. So now I'm kind of interested to see her in other stuff. So that's kind of a little bit my assessment of just the movie and the book. This is probably one of the best book to movie adaptations I've ever seen. Hunger Games did a really good job of staying really close to it. But that whole thing is just kind of hard for me to watch, you know. Plus I read Hunger Games before it got really popular. And so then by the time it got really popular and then it was made by a movie, I was like kind of past my dystopian novel phase. I was like, I'm not really in the mood for this. And I don't love fiction books that could actually happen. Those are harder for me to read. And so, whereas like the stuff in Hunger Games could absolutely happen. Same thing with Divergent. So I'm kind of like out of my dystopian phase. I can do a dystopian book if it has like superpowers or some sort of like fictional part of it. Otherwise I'm like, this could happen and now I'm sad. You know, and I don't read books. I kind of like to escape when I read fiction, fantasy, stuff like that. So Hunger Games did a really good job of following the books, but this one, like, even some of the lines though, I remember were straight out of the book. And then I actually liked as well, so the book is technically rated R, I would say, because there are a couple F words in there that I was not expecting or anticipating. Several F words in there, and then like the love scenes are kind of detailed. And so I was surprised when the movie came out as PG-13. I was like, how are they gonna do this? And so they took out all those F words, obviously. I think there was one. And I actually liked it. Like, the point still got across without the F word. And that just reaffirms my personal belief that we don't need to swear to get a point across, you know? And I don't mind swearing and stuff if it makes sense. You know what I mean? But more often than not, in my experience, when TV shows have a lot of swearing or they overuse the F word especially, the F word's the one that bothers me the most. I don't really care about the other ones, but like the F word especially, I'm like, you can tell when saying something not swearing is not powerful enough. But a lot of these writers and directors will overuse it, and it's like you're just swearing just to swear, and that's lazy writing to me. You know what I mean? I like tactful swearing that makes sense, you know, where it's like saying crap just really isn't powerful enough and doesn't convey my emotion enough. You know what I mean? You have to say the S word or whatever. So anyways, that's my little tangent about swearing. And so, yeah, there's one line in particular that I'm thinking of that was from the book. And the fact that it didn't have the F word in it still illustrated the exact same point. And so I was like, yay, go team. And then, yeah, the love scenes were sexy, but again, they kind of did the thing where it kind of just like goes up into the horizon, or it kind of like fades to black, or, you know, something like that. So really great. The book really doesn't need all that stuff in my opinion, but you know, it's like the popular thing now. But yeah, so they did a really good job as far as that goes. It was funny. I was reading a comment someone wrote. They're complaining about how often they take the Lord's name in vain. And I was like, well, clearly you didn't read the book, because if that's bothering you about the movie was very mild compared to the book, actually. And again, all the points were still made across, so I feel validated, basically, is what I'm saying. And so she was like, it just bothered me that it took the Lord's name in vain. I'm making up this woman's voice based on her picture. So it just bothered me that it took the Lord's name in vain, and it just made me uncomfortable. And I was like, girl, do not read the book then, because you're gonna hate it. But anyways, really, really well done. And so now to talk about the drama. Holy crap, I still don't really know what's happened, because it's hard to find and it's hard to look up. But apparently there is drama between the main guy, Ryle, and Blake Lively. And we know how the media can be, right? And how, you know, all these articles and all these things are trying to get an attention-grabbing headline so that you can click on their stuff, and then they don't actually give you any information, or it's all one-sided, or it's all, you know, kind of over-embellished, and it's like very clearly over-embellished. And so I was looking up a bunch of things, because I was wanting to talk about it, see if my friend knew anything, and we both couldn't find anything as to what actually happened. Like, apparently, according to a lot of articles that I've seen, everyone else in the cast is kind of blacklisting the main guy. His name is his real name is Justin Baldoni, I think. Justin Baldoni, and he is one of the producers on it as well. So he's the star and he's one of the producers and things like that, and he did a great job. I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him, and so I was kind of expecting him to be like really cheesy and weird, but it wasn't. I was like, oh, he's actually really good. And yeah, apparently the whole cast kind of hates him. I don't know. And I don't know why. I saw one thing recently. I just saw a thing where Blake Lively was like, I felt fat shamed on the set, blah, blah, blah. And at first I was like ready to be like, oh, Blake Lively, because, you know, because like everyone in the cast is kind of on her side, you know? And so usually when everyone kind of has the same story, it usually means that it is the other person's fault, or at least once upon a time it did, you know, or that's like a telltale sign. But now as I'm seeing some things and more things are coming to light, I actually think I'm on Justin's side. And the tea all kind of started because this Justin guy hasn't been in any of the promotional photos or what is it called? Not a live stream. It's like a premiere. That's what it is. He hasn't been like taking photos with the rest of the cast at all the premieres and stuff, and they're not talking and blah blah blah. And so it's like, that's weird. And it's ironic too, because he's kind of the problematic character in the movie, and so then it's just, but then all these people are on the same side in the movie and the characters, and then it's like happening in real life. Anyways, it's weird. So I'm like dying to know what the heck is happening. Here are my thoughts though. So first I was kind of like, ooh, just drama, whatever. I want to hear what the tea is. But the fact that you can't find anything really substantial or really informative is suspicious to me. That is suspicious to me. And then I've also seen and watched some clips of Blake Lively doing like press tour stuff and interviews, and she's just talking about things that aren't related to the movie at all, to the movie or the book. And I'm like, this is not, yes, it's a movie. Yes, it's a fictional story, but it's also kind of not fictional. You know what I mean? Like, this happens to people in real life. Maybe not this exact series of events, right? But like, this stuff happens and it's very serious. And Colleen Hoover was very clear in what her intention was in writing this book. And so she's like talking about, I think I saw it was like merch, and she's talking about like this thing and that thing. And it's like all just kind of promoting her stuff, promoting her brand, promoting whatever. And that just, it feels weird. It feels weird to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It also feels a little bit like tone deaf, I think is the term I'm looking for. A little bit tone deaf. Like, you should be talking about the movie, first of all, number one. You should be talking about the movie first, and then you should also be talking about like the impact it could have. And it could be, you know, talking about this thing and this thing. And you know, of course it depends on how the interviewer leads the discussion, of course. Which some interviewers do better than others, staying on topic. But everything I've seen of Justin Baldoni doing interviews, has all been about the movie, and it's been nothing but kind about his co-stars. It's been nothing but complimentary. It's been like, and he's staying focused on the movie, and he's staying focused on what the point is, and what, yeah, just again, the topic of the movie and why it's important, and why, you know, what Colleen's original message was, and like all this stuff. And so it just, I feel like a lot of people are taking Blake Lively's side because it's always like, believe the girl first or whatever kind of a thing. However, Blake Lively, again, I haven't watched like any of her stuff really, but she's always kind of given me mean girl energy. And just kind of like a little bit conceited, especially because like Ryan Reynolds is also kind of just a very bold personality, and it's all kind of a little bit self-consumed a little bit. I know he's funny and everyone loves him. I'm kind of a little bit tired of him, to be honest. But there are some things that are funny and some things that aren't, but it just feels very narcissistic to me. And of course, like, everyone in Hollywood is extremely full of themselves. So, you know, it's rampant. But yeah, it feels very, yeah, just tone deaf is the best. So I'm actually kind of on Justin Baldoni's side. I think Blake Lively has a lot of power. I think she has a lot of money. I think she's had a really long, very successful career in things that have done well, like in shows that have done well and in roles that have done well that are a little bit bigger. Again, I haven't seen this Justin or heard of him, at least not that I know of, until this movie. So clearly she's like a little bit bigger of a star, has a lot of money. She's also married to Ryan Reynolds, which kind of helps. They're kind of like the Hollywood couple, right? And so I think that combined has given them a lot of power in the media, also a lot of power, you know, monetarily and stuff like that. And so I feel like Blake Lively's being a little suspicious, and I am not here for it, you know? And then I saw another article that said Justin had hired the same attorney team that were Johnny Depp's attorney team for the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. And so that was the thing that I was like, what the heck happened? You know? And we still don't know. Shocker. And like, every article is just very, very aggressively negative about him. It's not like there's nothing really mild. It's all very extreme stuff. Like, he did this now, and now he did this, and now he did this, and blah, 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 blah. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not a huge Hollywood thing. I've kind of seen all these articles against my will because I watched the trailer a couple times because it showed up as an ad, and now all of my algorithms are like, this drama, because you watched that one trailer a couple times and you shared it with a friend, and now this is going to be your life. So I've kind of seen these articles. I didn't go seek them out until they started popping up, and then I was like, okay, what is happening now? You know, I do like to be in the know, though. I do like to know what's going on. I love the tea. Again, it's not my drama, so I'm all for it. Especially stupid Hollywood people. Oh my gosh. So yeah, those are my 2 cents about the movie and the book. But I'm trying to compartmentalize all of this stupid drama crap. The movie, objectively, really good. Really worth a see. It's definitely for the girls, though. I don't know if men would like this. It's very much towards the girl. I mean, the book is towards the girls too. So, but yeah, super good. It was funny in the movie theater when the credits were rolling. Of course, Marvel has made us all paranoid that there's like an extra scene at the end, right? So we're all waiting around, and then the lights came up. Usually you can tell when the lights come up that's like, oh, there's nothing after the credits, right? And so all of us, every single girl in the theater was still there. And we were just chatting, and I pointed out to my friend, I was like, this is such a girls' night thing to do, where it's like everyone is just staying in their seats, just like chatting it up, you know? And so then the little employees had to be like, can you guys leave so that we can clean? I was like, yes, of course. So it was really funny. But yeah, objectively, putting all of the drama to the side, objectively, the movie was really good. And I really appreciated that. Of course, there were things that I kind of pictured differently in my head, but that's kind of always how it goes. I saw some other comments that said that people were kind of frustrated at what they cut out. And I'm like, here's the thing. Anytime you have a book to movie adaptation, something has to go. Like, you cannot have every single last detail from the books in a movie. It's just not possible. And this book isn't that big, but still, like, we don't need a 2-hour movie. Like, and we needed it to end in kind of the happy, hopeful place that the book ended, right? And so, like, they cut out a lot of the abusive scenes and they kind of rushed through that a little bit, but it's like you still got the point. You know, you still got the point. You still got the message. We don't need to see Blake Lively getting hit and beat up and abused like over and over and over and over again to get the point. Especially because when something is visual, it leaves a greater impact. That's why I don't really like the Hunger Games movies. I loved the books at the time, but the movies, it's like, oh wow, it's hard to watch this stuff. You know, it's heavy, and it gets me in my head, and it gets me thinking about all sorts of things. So it's like you do have to you have to be smart about how you adapt things to film, because a book and a film, very, very different mediums, and some things that work in a book are really, really hard to execute in a movie, you know? So I think I disagree with frustration. Maybe they could have switched certain scenes or whatever. But again, we got the point. You know what I mean? Like we got the point of the movie, we got the message of the book, all that stuff. And then we still ended with like the iconic "it ends with us" line, because there's kind of a little bit of a moment between Lily and Ryle, the two main people, Blake Lively and Justin, at the end, where spoiler alert throughout the whole thing, should have led with that, but where they kind of they have a conversation and stuff, and things are kind of cordial, because she just gave birth to their baby girl, and they have this like really intense conversation that really hammers in the point. And they did that pretty much word for word from what I remember. I didn't reread the book before I saw the movie, because this book is unlike anything I usually read, and I'm not really interested in reading more of her books, because I've heard a lot of them are kind of sad, and a lot of them are kind of this type of like kind of heavy subject matter, and that's just not my thing. I like powers, and I like mystical people, and I like mythical creatures, and I like all that stuff. Like I said, I want to escape, and things like that. So she's not my style of reading, but this book stood out, and so I remembered some more details better than I usually with other books. Usually I have to rewatch, you know, all of the seasons leading up to a new release of a new season of a TV show, or I have to rewatch, you know, the other movies, or I have to reread, you know, books 1 through 4 or whatever, you know what I mean? But this one is different from anything I've read, so it doesn't get like confused in my head. So I remembered a lot of stuff, and yeah, they nailed it. They nailed it. So it was really, really good. I got teary-eyed a couple times, which, you know, doesn't always happen to me. Rarely happens, at least with a movie. But yeah, there are some really beautiful moments that were really well done. So I hope that they get their crap together. I do hope that they do a second movie, and I hope that all of this stupid drama doesn't like ruin it, because the first movie was so good. It was so good, and now the standard set, and the second book wasn't very good. It was very, very rushed, because I don't think she was ever planning on writing the second book. I think the people of Book Talk wanted more. And so she kind of just like worked one out and like slapped one out really quickly, you know, and so it's very rushed, and it's just not as well written as the first one. So I do actually hope that they do the second movie, because they kind of lead you a little bit, kind of like the book does, frankly, with like, oh, there could be more to the story, and we want to like keep following the story and stuff. And so I actually hope they do the movie so that they can kind of not rush through some of the things that the book rushed through. You know, I feel like that's one of those cases where like the movie could actually improve the book in this case, because the book was like meh. Like I said, they just kind of rushed through a lot of things, and I felt like it was just very thrown together last minute and not thought of as carefully as the first book. So I hope all this stupid drama doesn't ruin things, because they can't just have someone else play Ryle, you know, and he seems to be wanting to take a step back from it as well. And so I just so anyways, Hollywood people, they're so dumb. Okay, but anyways, yeah, that's kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about. Just gonna keep it short and sweet this time. But yeah, the movie's really, really good. I would recommend reading the book. I will always recommend reading the book first, but you don't have to read the book to understand what's going on, unlike with Dune, where you had to read the book in order for the movie to make sense, which means, in my eyes, the book is not that good. That's a spicy opinion. I've said that to a lot of people and they got very defensive. They're like, the world building and the blah, blah, blah and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, but where's the plot? All that stuff doesn't matter to me if there isn't a plot line. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, hated the Dune movies. Didn't read those books. Definitely not going to read those books now because I hated the movies so much. And I haven't even seen Dune Part 2 or whatever it's called, and I will not see it. So anyways, you don't need to read this book to know what's going on or to get the message and things like that. Because yeah, it was really well done, and I am really happy about it because I was really excited, and I had also made the cardinal sin of like hyping it up in my head and getting really excited, partly because I wanted a girls' night, go to a movie with a girlfriend, but also because I really enjoyed the book, legitimately enjoyed the book, and it made me think a lot. And so it actually lived up to the hype, which usually movies don't when I'm really excited for them. So anyways, really, really great. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week. That's all I'm going to talk about today. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and please make sure to tune in next Wednesday. Come listen, come watch, whatever. We are going to have a very, very special guest, and I'm not going to say anything more about it, but I'm very excited about it. And please leave a rating and review. Please go like, and if you like this episode or any of my other episodes, please repost them to your Instagram. A lot of people I see that have been able to grow their podcast really quickly, they have friends and people sharing them to their stories. So if you like any episode, please share it to your story, share it with friends. And if you have any guests you want me to have on or any things like that, I would love your input, your feedback. Like I said, I'm kind of always pivoting and kind of always trying to make it just a little bit better and clean things up and whatnot. So let me know that. Please leave a rating and review, like and subscribe, all of the things. Thank you for those who already do and already have. You're the best. You're my people. Love you lots. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Remember to tune in every Wednesday for Well-Rounded Wednesday, and please leave a rating and a review.